everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video wherever you happen to be watching, whether you're watching on Facebook. Thank you for watching over there. If it's Twitter, X, if it's Rumble, if it's YouTube, if it's Instagram. I always say that this is the new network now, and this is how we get the information out there, is by all these different platforms. Use them while we have them and share the information out, and that's how we get the word out as to what's really going on in the world. Joining me today is a constitutional lawyer. You'll know his face very well. His name is Shawn Buckley, and we're going to talk about a few important things today. In the summer, I did do a video about natural health products regulations and what Health Canada is doing and some of the new rules they're trying to bring in to our natural healthcare products. And a lot of people were very interested in that topic because it just seems so unreal, some of the regulations and stipulations that they're bringing in. So to talk more about it, joining me now is Mr. Shawn Buckley. Shawn, hello. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, Anita, really glad to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to talk to you. Before we get into the natural healthcare products, if you might indulge me, I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for spearheading the National Citizens Inquiry. That was such an important thing to do for all Canadians. I was honored to have testified. I just watched you for hours and hours. I just want to thank you so much for the work you did.
That's very kind, and I always like to point out. I mean, I ended up being a face, but we don't even have an accurate count of how many people we had volunteering. Like, so the estimate is between 800 and 1,000, and I mean, some of those who really worked hard and dedicated a lot of time. So the really interesting thing is it was citizens just pulling together and making it happen. And even just financially, like, we really didn't have a big donor. And so when we were at the beginning of each hearing day saying please donate so that we could hold the next set of hearings, what we meant was please donate so we could hold the next set of hearings, because otherwise we couldn't. Like, and yet
Yep.
people stepped up, and it would be like just hundreds and hundreds of like $25 donations, $50 donations. Nobody had ever seen anything like that. So I'm encouraged, because what it means is that Canadians, the idea of getting to the truth, the idea of listening to each other's stories, it resonated. Because for me, what it was is just, I was so shocked at how much impact it had. Like, obviously, I loved all the experts in that, but it was the ordinary Canadians telling their story, whatever that was, whether it was related to economics or social pressure or education or vaccine injury. I mean, that's what hit home for me. There was something about us coming together and telling our stories, regardless of what we thought about the COVID narrative. We came together and we shared our stories, and that was healing. So I felt honored to be a part.
Oh, yeah, we needed that so much. And I agree with you. I love the experts, but I love the real people too. It's going to go down in history, in my opinion. We've all left a legacy here, and it's important, and for other countries to follow suit also. Moving on to today. So we're going to talk about a little bit about, well, a lot about the what's going on with our natural healthcare products. Now, from my understanding, Health Canada they're amending the NHPA, and they're framing it in a way, they're very clever with their wording, something called the self-care framework, which sounds wonderful, the self-care framework. But when we really look at it, what are they doing, and what is going on with our natural healthcare products?
Yeah, so and I do want to talk about the messaging that you've just brought attention to. So what Health Canada is doing, and understand, I've been a lawyer for 29 years, and for that full 29 years, I've been assisting natural health product companies stay on the market. And Health Canada has hated the industry from day one. And in my opinion, from day one, their goal has been to extinguish the industry and put us fully into the chemical drug model, which is what is happening. And their messaging, I mean, and people with smarter than me and lots of them and getting paid lots of money spend day after day trying to figure out, well, how to convince us that we need strict regulations for things like ginger tea. So it doesn't matter that we've been using ginger tea for 2,000 years to treat nausea and effectively, and like nobody's dying or having problems with ginger tea. And we can sell ginger tea as a food, but if you put on there, you know, helps with nausea, then all of a sudden they literally now will want us to go through double-blind clinical trials to show that tea treats nausea. And it's part of their marketing is they say, let's say somebody has a headache and they go to the drugstore, and on the pain remedy shelf, there's aspirin sitting there and there's white willow bark sitting there. Well, aspirin is regulated under stricter regulations, chemical drug regulations, than white willow bark. And just so your audience knows, the active ingredient in aspirin comes from white willow bark.
Oh.
So white willow bark has just been used for likely 1,000 years plus to effectively treat pain. And all Bayer did was they isolated one of the main compounds or chemicals within white willow bark that treats pain. Not all of them, but one of the most effective ones. And then they modified it. So they made it a novel chemical. The chemical pharmaceuticals do that because if they tweak the molecule, then they can get intellectual property rights. And if they get through the new drug approval process, then they can charge high prices and no one else can compete with them while they have the patent. It actually does, it is a pain reliever. It still works, even though it's just one of the compounds and it's modified, but it's highly dangerous compared to white willow bark. It doesn't work better. I mean, so for example, the British government did a study because a large number of people around the world take a baby aspirin a day on the advice of their doctor because it can lower your risk for heart disease. But even that low dose can cause serious health complications with gastrointestinal bleeding that can lead to death or other problems. Well, white willow bark has the same beneficial effect for the heart condition, but with no gastrointestinal bleeding. But they won't tell you that. But the messaging is, well, aspirin is regulated strictly and white willow bark isn't. But how is the poor consumer who's just choosing a pain reliever going to know? So the solution, according to Health Canada, is, well, we need to make the regulation of white willow bark strict. But here's how you know it's not about health. Mm-hmm. Because the messaging will always be, well, you need to be protected with stricter regulation. But whenever you bring in stricter regulation, you lose products. And they don't do a health analysis to say, well, what's the risk of taking natural health products off the market? Because what's going to happen with this self-care framework is we're actually going to lose most of our products, like without exception. And we're going to lose those products that our natural health practitioners, like naturopathic doctors and homeopaths and traditional Chinese practitioners use. Yeah. Most of the products they use to treat us are going to be taken away. Well, what's the health consequence of that?
Huge. And the thing is, if we want to do our own research and we choose to take aspirin, that is our choice, as opposed to white willow bark. And if we want to take white willow bark, that's also our choice. We need to have the choice. The funny thing is, aspirin, they're not so transparent about the side effects that you just mentioned, right? So in a way, a pharmaceutical or like a drug, they sometimes so much I'm learning more and more seem to have ongoing health consequences that make you sicker that a natural product doesn't have,
Well, here's the game is our chemical pharmaceutical drugs, be they prescription or be they over the counter, are so incredibly dangerous that 3 of the 5 leading causes of death in most Western liberal democracies are connected to the use of chemical pharmaceutical drugs. I remember seeing one risk analysis that broke down, our risks based on 10-year categories, so age 0 to 10, 11 to 20. And in that risk analysis, for every age group except one, the most dangerous thing you could do would be to drive to your medical doctor's office. Because you would be likely to be given a prescription for a chemical drug, which is shocking. So if we want good health outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
especially for managing chronic illness, which the chemical drug model is just horrifically poor at. We
Mm-hmm.
would be doing everything we could to try everything else before, like chemical drugs would be our last resort.
Mm.
But what we're doing is we're moving to a model where it's our only option. And
Yes.
it's a little offensive from a freedom perspective. Like,
Yeah.
just tell us there's no double-blind clinical trial on white willow bark. Who cares? What? Don't require it. Don't, after 2,000 years of use, don't take it away from us. Like, don't create a system, and the system's deliberately designed to take these products away, and that's the end goal.
But that's true. But the thing is, let's have a look at the Health Canada website too. But they certainly weren't transparent about a lot of the pharmaceutical products. We didn't get a warning label on a lot of the pharmaceutical products, and I find this hypocritical. But let's have a look at the Health Canada website and what they say. They're regulating cosmetics, natural healthcare products, and non-prescription drugs, as you just talked about.
Mhm.
Non-prescription drugs. What about the prescription drugs? I mean, I guess they figure that's already done and dusted.
Well,
Okay.
that's not entirely true. So
Mhm,
the irony is that for the self-care products, so the over-the-counter chemical drugs, they're actually reducing the regulatory burden, and they're also working on expedited drug approval pathways for things like prescription drugs. So internationally, there's a movement to make it easier to get prescription drugs onto the market or chemical drugs onto the market,
mhm.
and more difficult for us to continue to use natural remedies.
Okay.
So we've got it, we're going in two directions. We're making it easier for the chemical drugs, which carry extremely high risk and
Right.
are very, very poor at managing chronic illness. And we're
Yes.
making it harder for natural health products, which are so extremely safe that
Yeah.
even to have a safety discussion makes no sense.
I do find it funny that it says this is on the Health Canada website. This is canada.ca when you type in this and you search self-care. One thing it says here is going forward. These are some of the things here. Strengthening the oversight of quality of NHPs, extending risk-based regulatory oversight. But the last sentence here, seeking additional powers for Health Canada, such as the ability to require a recall or label change for all self-care products. I have big issue with this wording here, seeking additional powers. They already, it's already too much. It's already taken, they've already overreached in the past 3 years more than ever. And they're telling you on the website, this is what we'd like to do.
Well,
What
and
do you think about all this?
well, it's interesting that you even, just somehow zeroed in on text about recalls, because I remember having a discussion with the policy advisors of one of the leaders of our federal political parties. And one of the person's lead policy analysis said, well, don't you think the ability of Health Canada to order recalls is a good thing? And now Health Canada was already able to order recalls for chemical drugs. And now with the budget bill, that's been extended to natural health products. And when somebody asks me a question like that, I realize they actually haven't thought through what they're saying. Because when Health Canada, let's just even talk about chemical drugs. When
Mhm.
Health Canada didn't have the power to just order a recall, they would have to go to court to get a recall order, and a court would hear the other side. So now, whether we're talking about, and a court's always going to do what the court thinks is safe. Like, are you worried for a second that if Health Canada is in court saying, here's the evidence we have that should justify an order for a recall, and the other side saying, yeah, but wait a second, here's the health consequences if we withdraw the product from the market? Do you think for a second the court's not going to try and make a decision that will be the safest decision possible? So instead of a court hearing both sides and making the safest decision possible, you want some Health Canada inspector that will have, I promise you, will have no medical training, ordering a product off the market that maybe, it might be 50,000 doctors in Canada have prescribed it and are managing patients on it, and you're letting somebody without any health qualifications override all those medical decisions. I
Mm.
I'd rather have a court make that decision. But when
Yeah.
people don't think these through, they think, oh yeah, Health Canada should have the power to order a recall. Well, let's talk about, the natural health product Empower Plus. I mean, when Health Canada tried to take it off the market, they ordered the company to stop selling, and the company wouldn't. And the company had doctors and psychiatrists and people whose very lives depended on the product contact Health Canada. I mean, we've got copies of all their letters because there were criminal charges. They had to give
What
it
was
to
the
us to
product?
close
I
it.
didn't catch it. What did you say?
Empower Plus. It's to
Oh,
treat serious bipolar disorder and major depressive disorder.
oh, okay.
It's most likely the most effective product in the world for that.
And is it a natural product? I've never
Yeah, it's
heard of it.
vitamins and minerals. It's
Okay.
licensed in Canada as a vitamin mineral supplement. A lot of people just take it as a daily vitamin. But
Okay.
in the right dose and managed, with expertise to manage you,
Yeah.
it's like if I got bipolar disorder or anyone close to me, that I'm sorry, we're taking that. We're not taking your lithium or other drugs. But the point
Right.
that we're talking about recall. So Health
Yeah.
Canada orders them to stop selling it. At this time, they don't have the power to order a recall. And True Hope responds by actually having psychiatrists and doctors and people whose very lives depended on the product that were only managing themselves. All the approved psychiatric drugs didn't work for them. Basically, say you can't take this away or they'll be death.
Yeah.
And then because the company didn't comply, the products manufactured in the U.S. and crosses the border, Health Canada started seizing shipments, and then the deaths happened. The Canadian Mental Health Association, every time one of their members died, would hold a press conference in order to try and shame Health Canada to relent and allow the
Mhm.
product on the market.
Mhm.
And eventually Health Canada did. The Minister of Health and Government of Canada at the time, it was a Liberal government, couldn't stand all these press conferences happening every time someone died. You don't give bureaucrats
Yeah.
without health training the ability to make decisions that are in effect health decisions, whether or not somebody can access a product.
Yeah. I mean, every individual knows what works for them. I know what works for me. Tylenol doesn't work for me. I don't like taking that. There are other things I will take. I know what I want. Maybe some things would be drug related, some things would be like pharmaceutical, and some things would be natural. I happen to not be, I don't really take anything, but I know what works for me. And I think that's the point, is that choice seems to be regulated, but now it's just going over the top. But what are some of the products in question? Like, could you list maybe a few? So, what's under the umbrella of a natural healthcare product? Obviously, vitamins.
Yeah,
And
so
what
a
else?
natural product is basically any healthcare product that isn't made by chemicals. So anything made by plants,
Hmm.
anything made from animals, and our vitamin and minerals. And the
Hmm.
only exception would be things that we regulate as controlled substances, like our narcotics and the like, and
Hmm.
are not considered natural health products. So it's pretty broad, and it
Yeah.
includes all of our traditional remedies, and it includes new innovative products that like True Hope Power Plus. I mean, which again is just a vitamin mineral supplement, but it came about because one of the founders of the company, his wife had severe bipolar disorder, and like one of her parents and one of her grandparents committed suicide.
Mm.
And two of his children, one of his adult children, was one of these people that was in and out of psych wards and voluntarily committed. And once you're in that cohort, I mean, if you live 5 years, you're lucky. So what
Wow.
happens is you're manic, and then you're depressive. She's rapid cycling bipolar. Because you become suicidal, they involuntarily commit you to the psych ward. They put you on a new drug cocktail that which so dopes you up that you're
Mm.
drooling over yourself 24 hours a day. And so you'll be there for months until you're so used to it that maybe you're only drooling over yourself 12 hours a day. And you'll
Mhm.
be on 24-hour suicide watch when you're released. And eventually your body will get accustomed to the new drug cocktail, and bang, you break out, you're manic and then depressive and suicidal, and you get recommitted. That was her life. And these
Mm.
people don't live long once you hit that stage. And one
Yeah.
of his sons was in high school, 17, and the doctor was trying to manage his bipolar on the mainstream drug for it, lithium, and it
Mm.
just was just not being effective, and it looked like he would have to be institutionalized, and it's breaking his heart. And so him and this other gentleman just decide, well, They were both on a church property board. And the other gentleman was an animal nutritionist. And so they're inspecting some church property. And the animal nutritionist asks, well, how are you doing? And we're like, do you really want to know it? And so Tony's just venting, like, here's what's happening with my daughter. Here's what's happening with my son. And when he's describing his son, who would rage, the animal nutritionist said, I don't know anything about human nutrition, but what you're describing with your son reminds me of ear and tail biting syndrome in pigs, where they just rage. And when that happens, we know it's a nutritional deficiency. We substitute the feed with vitamins and minerals, and 100% of the time we extinguish the behavior.
Wow.
And the idea occurred to both of them. I wonder if there could be a nutritional basis to mental health.
Of course.
So they just started researching all the published research on nutrition and mental health. They spent a long time researching and came up with okay, you need this vitamin in this amount, you need this mineral in this amount, and developed a protocol, and it ended up with a product that works.
That's fascinating and something very needed. Look at the overdiagnosis of anxiety amongst teenagers and stuff.
But let's talk about what Health Canada is doing as part of this self-care framework. So they're going to start charging companies these fees to be able to sell products and to be able to manufacture. It's going to be putting a whole bunch of companies out of business and raising the prices of the products that survive. And Health Canada, right in their Canada Gazette publication about we're going to impose these fees, they say, oh, but don't worry, we're going to use these fees to hire new inspectors. And one of the things they're going to do is censor truthful health information. So this company, True Hope, that makes this product for bipolar disorder, Anita, there are 35 peer-reviewed, published research articles on eMpower Plus, all funded by governments around the world. So the company hasn't funded a single one. It's just governments have noticed it's so cotton picking effective that governments have funded research into the product. And we're talking about research published in blue chip journals like Journal of Psychiatry, Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychopharmacology. Like there's serious research. Well, True Hope used to have links to those articles on their website. Because of this new censorship, because Health Canada takes the position you can't share truthful research. They've had to take it down, because another thing that's happened is with the federal budget bill, they've increased the penalties on natural health products to match the penalties for the chemical companies like Pfizer's. So before the maximum penalty was $5,000, now it's $5 million a day, and so now we're getting strict censorship.
Okay, let's just sum up what you just said there. So a natural healthcare company is not even able to put those clinical trials and studies on their websites for people to read, because Health Canada has deemed that they don't want that information out there for whatever reason, and they'll be subject to fines should they do that. These fines are not taking into consideration that these are small companies. They're kind of the similar fine that you would give a bigger pharmaceutical company.
Like no natural health company or no health practitioner like naturopathic doctors, for example, will advertise, I've got this treatment for this condition.
I know.
Well, it can be completely 100% truthful advertising, but Health Canada takes the position they can't tell you that the treatments will work for this or that. And now no one can resist, because the fines are crippling. I don't know a naturopathic doctor, for example, that can withstand a $5 million a day fine. And I don't know of a single natural health product company, but for Pfizer, it's pocket change.
Of course. And they're allowed to advertise out the wazoo, Pfizer,
Well, heck, I mean, they get the government to advertise for them. That's even better, right?
Exactly. When I got fired from Global News for asking why we weren't reporting everything, I worked in a medical health clinic for a while, and I worked with a naturopathic doctor. And I used to have this dry skin issue or whatever. And I put this medicine on that my doctor gave me a prescription on for years. I was using this. And then the naturopath said, maybe you should cut out X, Y, and Z. It seems like you're having a problem when you eat those foods. And I was like, really? I had no idea. And when I cut those foods out, my little dry skin got so much better. And that was from one 15-minute visit with the naturopath. and I had like 10 years of this, irritation on my skin, but it was caused by food, and I had no idea, right? So that's an example. Another thing is there was she would give out teas, like certain, teas and tinctures, and people would drink that. I mean, she had all kinds of natural things that were that, and she was getting wonderful results healing people. So let her be. Like, why leave her alone? She's
No,
not
but you
hurting
see,
anybody.
the problem, Anita, is that she's helping people, and
Exactly.
we can't tolerate that. And the problem is people are choosing to access natural health modalities. When Health Canada went, toured the country giving, presentations on how this was going to work, they made it clear we are not going to license any products that truly aren't self-care. If you're going to see a healthcare practitioner to get advice, that type of product we are not licensing. So the products that the healthcare practitioners use are not going to be available, and we're going to lose those healing traditions.
Sorry, what do you mean not going to be available? What does
Well, they're
that
not going to be
mean in
licensed. You see,
practicality?
right now you can get them licensed under the natural health product regulations.
Like
Those,
right now, people go to the doctor and buy it from the doctor at the last clinic I
yes,
worked
yes,
at. Yeah.
but
So,
anything for conditions for which you would seek the advice of a medical health practitioner, be that a naturopathic doctor or traditional Chinese practitioner or homeopathic doctor, if it's for a condition for which you would see such a person, we're not going to license under the self-care framework. And the only other drug pathway is the new drug approval process, and no natural health product can get through that.
but I think on a philosophical level, they just want us to be sick. It seems like that. So here's the website.
If you subscribe, which I'm inviting everyone to do, then when we're doing a campaign, because like right now we have a letter writing and contact your MP campaign, that's when we let you know, oh, hey, can you do this? Can you join this campaign? We're going to be needing a ton of people who will volunteer. Like we need a whole bunch of people with expertise in social media. We need to add 20 people to our social media team to expand it. We need to add about 20 people to our create campaigns, whether they're letter writing campaigns or social media campaigns or public
Yeah.
lectures. We need volunteers with expertise there. We
Yeah.
actually need people with expertise like sales managers, because we're setting up teams to in each province approach practitioners and get their offices to be interfaces for our campaigns. So to have our postcards, our petition, our letter writing, stuff like that. Well, that skill set is actually of managing people to go do that. It's a sales manager's skill set.
But I wanted to just go over the steps. 1, get educated. 2, engage with your MP, because these are things people can do. 3, sign the petition. 4, support NHP stores, protect our practitioners, which is number 5, and support our campaign. So these are the tangible things that we can do. So you want me to go to the volunteer page now here, volunteer with us?
Yeah, and support our campaign. I'm also inviting people to actually support us financially. We've been bringing more people on board. So do you see this picture, this guy where he's holding? No, that picture there. And this is the chair of the Standing Committee on Health in the House of Commons. So the Standing Committee of Health is a all-party committee that deals with health issues. They called a special meeting and forced 3 Health Canada executives to come and answer questions over the regulation of natural health products. He's holding up our postcards that people have sent him.
Okay.
He says there's a whole bunch more back at his office, and every MP on that committee made it clear that they're getting swamped with these postcards and calls and demands for visits. They have not seen such pressure in like 10 years. So our campaign's already working, but those postcards and all of that, it costs money.
Yeah.
And we this is life and death. You don't want to be in a chemical drug model. And we need people to support us, because we're actually trying to create a monthly budget. And, even if it's 25, 50 bucks a month, please subscribe to like the monthly thing for a year and volunteer. But the exciting thing, Anita, is we can win this. Like we can win this. We just need everyone to get involved and do something. And I think that's what we've learned over the last 3 years.
That's right.
We were all surprised. We were all terrified, and we were. You can say you weren't, but but we were
I
terrified.
wasn't. But yeah, I
And,
know. Yeah.
and we felt isolated and we
Yeah.
felt helpless. And what we've learned, especially through the NCI, is we're not alone. We don't have to be afraid anymore. And we don't have to feel helpless anymore. There's lots we can do. We are now at this point where we're all responsible to get involved in our institutions, to get involved with the freedom groups like NHPPA and start doing things. Like, are you willing to write a letter saying, I'm sick and tired of kids being jabbed? Like, stop this, to every single one of our MLAs. Like, you just have to write one letter, but change the address and send them
Mhm.
all out. Like, you would be surprised how few people try to interact with an MP or MLA. Like, you would be surprised, how to write a letter. Like,
Good, because sometimes people need help with that, like the practical
yes.
steps of how to doing that. We're gonna ring the office, and then what are we gonna say? So
Well,
people do need help with that.
you need
Yeah,
help the first couple of times. It's like everything else, like
yeah,
the first day at school, you need your older brother to take you. That's my experience. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
show me the ropes, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
after I've been going there a week, I'm okay.
yeah,
And it's the same with calling an MP office to complain about an issue. Well, you've never
yeah,
done this before. You're kind
yeah.
of freaked out. But after you've done it 5, 6 times, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to call the MLA's office today. You probably even know
Call.
the first name of the person answering the phone by then.
That's right. And
And
send an email or send a letter too, because then it's documented. And you're right. All the people who disagree but are quiet, we need their voice too now.
you have to have you'd have to have a voice, and as long as you treat the people civilly so that they'll continue to dialogue with you,
Yeah.
you actually can start introducing and changing their mind. Like, you need to understand,
Yeah.
um, you have a certain knowledge base, and you just expect that your MLA and your MP or your municipal councillor knows what you know, and I promise you they don't. They
Yeah.
don't, because they watch the 6 o'clock news. They have no idea.
I
So,
used to
so they
direct the
need
6 o'clock
people.
news.
They
I know
need
they don't know
people like
what's
you.
going on. Yeah.
We were losing the information war.
Mhm.
Over half of us in Canada now know what's going on, and that amount's growing each day. And I'm tired about being scared. I hear people talking the bullshit now. Sorry,
Yes, that's
they
okay.
bovine excrement now. I I just step on. I'm just tired of putting up with
I'm
lies.
tired of it too. I'm not scared. I'm not scared, and we need everybody's voices. And I think that pretty soon this pushback, I hope, will be like a tidal wave. So you're right. We all need to speak up. Shawn Buckley, thank you so much for joining me today.
I thank
Yeah.
you for what you're doing, because the reality is it's podcasters like you that allow people like me to even understand what's going on.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we're just talking about how the poor people that watch the mainstream media, I mean, they're you can't fault them for knowing.
No.
Well, how else are we going to know except people like you? And I don't know how you support yourself, but if your viewers are not donating to you, they better. And I just say, how dare you not?
Oh,
Because, well, it's Anita. I've run across, like, how like, your audience won't know, but your guests and you talk before the show and we talk after the show. And, since I've kind of got on the podcast circuit on this, both NCI and NHPPA issues, I'm just appalled at how many of them are, like, literally they might as well be on welfare. They're getting so little support from their audience. They're, passionate. The audience has no idea how much work it is behind the scenes and how much of a commitment.
it is.
And why are they living like paupers and can't promote their shows and the whole thing because people aren't supporting them? We're in an information war. And it's
Yeah.
like, how dare you watch all these podcasts and not help these people out? It's the only reason you're awake and know what's going on. And the message is getting out. So we
Yeah.
have to change our thinking and our behavior and
Yeah.
understand. I've been guilty of it myself. Like, where
Oh,
I
yeah. Yeah.
haven't been supporting the truth tellers, and it has to end.
Yeah. Agreed. Cancel your cable news subscription. Cancel any subscription that is not telling you the truth. And if you can support what we do, we appreciate it greatly, because we can't do it alone. So, yeah. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. And thank you for your time today. It was, as always, so great to talk to you.
Just a pleasure, Anita. Anytime.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found value in it, please like and subscribe and share it out. If you can make a contribution to my platform, it is so appreciated. You'll find me on PayPal at Anita Keeps Talking. You can donate through my website, anitakrishna.com. You can find me at Give, Send, Go, and all of these links will be provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for your love and support and engagement. I love reading the comments. Have a great day, stay strong, and I'll speak to you all in my next video.
Do you need more cash? Or have you always wanted to start an online business? Well, we are here to tell you that there's a new way to learn some new skills that can earn you an extra $500 to $5,000 per month. On top of this, you will also be helping others, and this opportunity is perfect for beginners. It's all through a new digital marketing course called Learn and Earn Profits Online, brought to you by Nice Guy Marketing. Want to know more? Visit our website or email us today.